I don't know. I don't know. Angel Reese. She might have tapped out, y'all. Angel Reese may have tapped out and quit on the Chicago Sky. Everybody is speculating. What is this back injury? What's going on? Hey.
Look, Angel Reese just bounced on the Chicago Sky. Flat out quit with zero heads up. No fancy PR spin, just gone. Fans are losing it. Her teammates are probably scratching their heads. And honestly, the whole situation is more chaotic than a championship parade gone wrong. Is this the curtain call for her WNBA career? Or just the opening act for an even bigger spectacle? Trust me, the real story behind this is wild. And you won't believe it.
The world wants to know. The whole world is wondering, where in the world is Batman? I'm joking. I want to know, as Chicago Sky fans, women's basketball, WNBA, Angel Reese fans, where in the world?
Honestly, Angel Reese walking away from the Chicago Sky feels less like a surprise and more like a Tuesday. We all saw this coming, even if some folks are acting like it's the biggest sports shocker ever. This isn't some massive scandal. It's just Angel being exactly who she's always been. All in for the spotlight, but seemingly allergic to the actual grind. She's not here to battle for wins or hit the deck for a loose ball. Her game is collecting clicks, soaking up headlines, and striking a pose for the camera. The moment real effort is required, poof, she's out, disappearing quicker than a late-game free throw when the pressure's on.
I find it very symbolic, very almost funny, but not funny. Not funny, haha, but funny, sad. That out of all the bodily injuries that Angel Reese, a player, could experience, she's experiencing a back injury. Her back is literally hurting. And is it because that she is tired of carrying the weight of the Chicago Sky on her back, being that floor general and that floor leader? Did the Chicago Sky break Angel Reese's back?
Let's be real about this whole Rookie of the Year talk between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. That race was never ever close. It only felt like a competition because some in the media needed a spicy storyline to push. And everyone knows a runaway win for Clark doesn't generate the same kind of buzz. If we're being completely honest, Reese's name kept popping up because she's a headline machine. Loud, flashy, always stirring the pot. And that just explodes on social media. But when you look at the game tape, when you actually check the numbers, her stats weren't shouting dominance. They were more like politely murmuring maybe next year.
Listen, everybody is ablaze right now. Everybody's wondering, what is really going on with Angel Reese? Has she just flat out quit again? Has she quit on the Chicago Sky? Angel, you gotta be, hold on, you have to have some level of self-awareness here. Last year with the Chicago Sky, you quit. You quit. You threw in the towel. Once you realized you no longer, you never stood a chance, to be honest, with Caitlin Clark for that Rookie of the Year. But once you realized your double streak was over, and it was over. She took over post-Olympic.
And who's really to blame for this entire circus? Honestly, it's everyone who kept boosting her up, acting like she was some basketball legend, just for doing the absolute bare minimum. Every analyst who made a garbage-time double-double sound like a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. Every fan who confused a few flashy poses and a side eye with genuine leadership. You all fed the hype monster until it got so massive it couldn't be contained. You essentially framed basic effort as Hall of Fame worthy. And now the Chicago Sky are facing the harsh reality. If you hand over the car keys to someone who doesn't even want to drive, you shouldn't be shocked when the whole season ends up stranded on the side of the road.
Yeah, she did wear the villain role on her sleeve, no doubt about that. She didn't do a lot to help herself when she was winning the NCAA championship last year against Iowa, and she was taunting Caitlin Clark. But did we forget that Caitlin Clark had been doing the same thing to numerous opponents throughout that season last year? That it wasn't until she was humbled in that national championship game against LSU that she dialed it back a little bit? You can't want to be the villain. You can't pride yourself in being the villain, and then you lose, and all of a sudden you succumb to those emotions. That is true to some degree. But usually when you lose and you have an opportunity to sit back and reflect, there's a mountain of emotions that get heaped on your shoulders, and it's hard to hold it in. Not to mention when teammates are coming to your defense because they realize how the insults against you have been so personal.
For Angel, Chicago isn't a permanent home. It's more like Maryland 2.0, just another flashy stop on her continuous look at me tour. She's probably already eyeing her next LSU-like situation, a pre-built, super stacked roster where she can just drop in, let others handle the dirty work and the grind, then swoop in for the victory photo op. That's her whole strategy. Bypass the grunt work, ignore the blueprints, and just slide right into a fully furnished championship situation. She's not the one designing the masterpiece or laying the bricks. She's the person who shows up once it's built, moves a few chairs around, and then takes all the credit for how great the place looks.
She's got a back injury. Like, I'm not going to be out here saying that Angel Reese needs to go out and play through a damn back injury. I just don't think is the case, especially when your team is as bad as it is. Like, absolutely just stinking it up constantly. Like the Chicago Sky.
Honestly, the Sky totally messed up by drafting her. They didn't just get a ticket to the Angel Reese show, they bought front row season passes for every dramatic exit and every I'm just not feeling it moment. And if Reese were to throw in the towel, you could probably bet it would take her at least 4 tries just to get it anywhere near the court, if you catch my drift. The blunt truth is, Reese plays basketball for one person, herself. End of story. Not for her teammates, not the fans, and definitely not the organization. She's chasing attention, endorsement deals, interviews, and those Instagram likes. And the second things get tough, she just vanishes. Now, Caitlin Clark is a total contrast. You can just tell by watching her play that she doesn't need to be the loudest one in the room because her shots are the ones making the whole place erupt. Meanwhile, Reese is probably over in the corner, worrying if the lighting is just right for her post-game outfit photo. One of these rookies is actually building a lasting career. The other is focused on building a brand and just hoping nobody notices the huge difference.
Wrist was hurting for the rest of the year. You threw in the towel and said your wrist was hurting for the rest of the year and didn't play again. This past the inaugural season of Unraveling, you didn't even finish that season. You didn't even show up for the championship. No, not only did you not play, you didn't even show up to the game at all. People noticing a pattern with you.
This is 2 seasons in a row now. And listen, let's talk about leadership for a minute. Real leaders actually carry their team's weight. They own up when things go sideways and share the glory when they go right. Reese, on the other hand, seems totally allergic to accountability. You'll never hear her say, yeah, that one was on me. Instead, it's usually a lot of shrugs and side eyes, as if the issue is always someone else. And let's be fair, if your whole strategy is to ride someone else's coattails, you can't exactly admit you're the one holding things back, which is probably why she's constantly looking for her next out. Chicago needs someone to build, not just a passenger, but Reese is basically a permanent backseat rider. She wants all the comforts, the perks, the victory parades, but none of those 5 a.m. workouts or intense film sessions that actually create champions. And here's the wild part. She'll probably still get more attention for quitting than half the league gets for actually winning. And that's the big perk of being a brand-first athlete. Headlines keep coming even if you don't. The thing is, quitting twice doesn't make it a shock anymore. It just becomes your resume. And Angel Reese has officially reached the point where nobody's surprised. You quit once. Okay, maybe there's a narrative there. Twice, that's just who you are. Not an accident, but she's basically the WNBA's Houdini, the great disappearing act, just without any real mystery.
Listen, Angel Reese has thrown in the towel. She refuses to travel with the team. Once again, the team has a road game. We already saw she refused to travel with the team to Indiana versus the Fever. Now they head to Connecticut to take on the worst team in the league. Yes, they finally win against a team that is worse than them, the Connecticut Sun.
And here's the wild part. Even with all this mess, she'll somehow spin it as some huge self-care or empowerment journey, because that's what gets clicks on social media. Mark my words, she'll be on a podcast next week talking about protecting her peace, and people will gobble it up, totally ignoring that her peace was apparently disrupted by, doing her actual job. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out there devouring minutes like they're air, taking hits, drawing double teams, and still delivering big time. Clark isn't hunting for another LSU. She's trying to build her own powerhouse from the ground up. Chicago Sky fans truly deserve more than a player who treats the season like some kind of side hustle. They deserve someone who shows up whether the lights are bright or the arena is half empty. Someone who puts in the unseen work. Angel Reese, she's just not that player. She's the main character of her own movie, and unfortunately the rest of the team just feels like background scenery. If the Sky had any sense, they'd learn from this. Stop drafting purely on hype and start picking based on heart, because hype disappears fast. But heart is what actually wins you games when it matters most. Hype might get you headlines in July, but heart gets you trophies in September.
Nobody knew what had happened on the day. Nothing had happened. Then somebody got into Angel Reese's ear to say that this happened, and she then doubled and tripled down, saying that something happened even though she didn't hear it herself. And then she's there reposting tweets or reposting TikToks saying that Gamebridge is dangerous for her and it's a danger if she goes to Gamebridge and all of this crap. Like, so Angel...
What's really frustrating is that Reese actually has the talent. She's not just some random player off the street. She possesses the skills, the size, and the raw potential to absolutely dominate. But listen, talent without effort is like a super fast sports car with no gas in the tank. It looks amazing just sitting there, but it's not going anywhere. She seems more interested in just being seen, driving it, than actually winning the race. So no, I'm not at all surprised she quit again. I called this a while back, and I'll say it once more. Angel Reese isn't here to play ball. She's here to be famous. If she does manage to find her next LSU situation, I really hope that team knows exactly what they're getting into. Because her history shows she'll flash a smile for the cameras, ride the wave when everything's easy, and then simply disappear the moment things get even a little tough. That's the Angel Reese experience. No refunds, no exchanges, and definitely no championships guaranteed. This whole "I'm here for the fame, not the grind" routine has practically been her signature move for a long time. Forget the Euro step or the no-look pass. Her real highlight play is that vanishing act precisely when her team needs her the most. Yet somehow, people still act like she's some misunderstood star just waiting for her big moment to truly shine. But guess what? This is the moment, and she's just walking away from it.
Some speculation going on saying, like, of course, because she has injured her back, unfortunately, at the tender age of 23, might I add, that she is still going through the rehabilitation process. But people are so anxious to see just when exactly will Angel Reese return in this current 2025 season. Because again, guys, today is what, August 14th. The freaking playoffs is just some weeks away, and we all know, again, we got to have that come to Jesus moment. If you haven't had it yet, come here, come to me. We can have it together. Listen, look at me in my eyes and see that I ain't lying. We're not going into the playoffs, guys. I'm sorry.
Here's what happens when you build a player's brand before they even build their professional resume. From day one, Reese was hyped up as a cultural icon instead of a rookie learning the ropes. Every time she scored, it was plastered across social media with flashy graphics and trending hashtags. Meanwhile, her actual on-court numbers told a much more subdued story. But the hype machine doesn't care about context. It just wants clicks, and Angel definitely delivered those in spades. It's not that she can't play at a high level. It's that she seems completely unwilling to put in the sustained effort it demands. That Rookie of the Year competition between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was never close. And I'll say it again because apparently, some people need to hear it. It only looked close on paper because the media desperately needed some drama. Clark is out there, dropping historic numbers, literally carrying her team, and elevating every single player around her. Reese, though, she's mostly just busy curating her Instagram feed. The work ethic difference between those two could honestly swallow half the WNBA. You don't even need to be a diehard fan to spot it. Just watch one game. Clark runs the floor like every possession is her last. She takes charges, she dives for loose balls, she battles through screens. Reese, meanwhile, often just jogs through plays like she's saving energy for a runway walk-off. And when the game starts slipping away, Clark digs in, but Reese checks out.
We did a show early in the week about Jason Whitlock talking about she quit on the Chicago Sky. She gave up on the WNBA. She really don't want to play basketball. And this is all surrounding around her back injury.
Chicago Sky fans got swept up in the hype because they were convinced Reese would be the cornerstone of their franchise. But instead of a solid foundation, what they actually got was a flashy billboard. Eye-catching, sure, but not really supporting anything structural. You simply cannot build a team around someone whose commitment expires faster than a TikTok trend. And here's the tough truth. Chicago isn't LSU. They don't have that deep cushion of talent where Reese could just cruise along because she was surrounded by players who could shoulder the entire load. In the WNBA, every single team is loaded with elite talent, and if you're not pulling your weight, it becomes glaringly obvious, super fast. The Sky didn't need a passenger. They desperately needed a driver, and they drafted someone who frankly just wanted to be chauffeured. I mentioned weeks ago that she was going to quit, and it wasn't some psychic prediction, it was pure pattern recognition. She's been looking for an escape route ever since the season stopped being all about her, and now she's taking that exit again, leaving her teammates to deal with the fallout. And let's be absolutely clear, this isn't just about wins or losses. It's about showing fundamental respect for the game itself. If you truly love basketball, you show up and compete, whether you're up by 20 or down by 30. You battle through shooting slumps, you push past bad nights, you absorb the criticism, and you come back even stronger. You absolutely do not just ghost your team when things get tough, because that's not leadership, that's just self-preservation, poorly disguised as empowerment.
Oh, the grace from the basketball gods and goddesses that we cannot beat the Connecticut Sun. Do you know the Connecticut Sun is ranked number 13 in the WNBA league? There's 13 teams. They're ranked dead last. Whereas we, the Chicago Sky, we're ranked number 11. Now, granted, yes, this happened at their court today, okay? It was the Connecticut Sun's home game. That's no excuse. And
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is the absolute definition of commitment. She doesn't just rest on her reputation, she goes out and earns it every single game. And that's precisely why, no matter how many manufactured debates the media tries to conjure up, Clark is already pulling ahead in ways that go far beyond just looking at a stat sheet. She's building genuine trust, she's proving her immense worth, and she's making it utterly impossible for anyone to question her dedication. If Reese honestly believes she can just keep hopping from team to team until she stumbles into another LSU type of situation, she's in for a truly rude awakening. The Sky essentially made their own bed when they drafted her, and now they're stuck sleeping in it. And trust me, it's about as comfortable as trying to nap on a pile of dirty game day towels that never made it to the laundry. They were hoping for a star, but what they got was a full-blown soap opera. And the saddest part of all this, it was totally avoidable. All the warning signs were clearly there from the start. She isn't quitting because she's exhausted from carrying the team. She's quitting because she's tired of not being the absolute center of attention. If the cameras aren't squarely focused on her, her interest just evaporates. And while that might fly in reality TV, in professional sports, the attention follows actual performance, not the other way around.
Tyler Marsh gives a major update surrounding around Angel Reese's back injury, and you guys are not going to believe what he said.
Look, some folks will still jump to her defense, claiming she's just figuring things out, or that she's still young. Sure, she's young, but so is Clark. The massive difference? Clark is focused on figuring out how to win basketball games, not how to win headlines. At a certain point, youth stops being a valid excuse and just becomes a convenient cover for some pretty bad habits. And that towel joke, I stand by it. If Reese actually threw in the towel, it would probably take her at least 4 tries for it to even land near the court. Because just like her commitment, her aim is completely inconsistent. She's essentially a brand ambassador who's masquerading as a basketball player. And every single time she quits, it just reinforces that perception. Chicago deserves players who are truly dedicated to the team, who genuinely take pride in wearing that jersey, who treat every possession like it truly matters. Real change requires hard work, and right now, hard work just isn't part of her current game plan. She seems way too comfortable playing the part of the misunderstood star, the victim of unfair expectations, the rebel who walks away on her own terms. The bitter irony is that she actually could be great. She could silence every single critic by genuinely committing, grinding it out, and proving she's more than just drama. But greatness demands sacrifice, and right now, the only thing she seems willing to sacrifice is actual practice time.
it's Angel Reese, okay? Of course, she was missing in last night's game, but we ultimately, the Chicago Sky, we got defeated by the Connecticut Sun, the worst ranked team in the league currently. They're the worst ranked team. And on top of that, we see 3 ejections. And on top of those 3 ejections made from the game, we see Angel Reese on Twitter cackling and kikiing and giggling, talking about if I was there on the court and God just be knowing, you know, not to put me in certain situations. I'm like, okay, but girl, sister girl, Miss Thing, where is you at?
So yeah, I'm not surprised she quit again. This isn't exactly groundbreaking news. It's just more confirmation. Angel Reese clearly doesn't want to play basketball. She just wants to be famous. And in today's social media landscape, she can probably keep doing that without ever even stepping back onto a court. But one day, those likes will inevitably slow. The endorsement deals will dry up, and the only thing left will be her actual professional record. And that, my friends, is not something you can simply filter or Photoshop your way out of. And that's the hard truth nobody seems to be telling her. Fame without a real foundation always fades. Caitlin Clark is living proof of this. She isn't chasing the spotlight. The spotlight is chasing her because she's putting in the kind of consistent effort that undeniably demands attention. If Reese chooses not to follow that path, that's completely her decision. But let's finally stop pretending she's something she just isn't. She's not some franchise savior. She's not the future face of the league. And she's clearly not interested in putting in the relentless grind it actually takes to earn those titles. She's a personality searching for a platform, and unfortunately for them, Chicago just discovered the true cost of giving her that opportunity.
She refused to travel with the team to Connecticut, obviously showing a complete lack of leadership. Man. Caitlin Clark's been hurt. She traveling with the team, supporting on the bench. You're supposed to be there with your troops. You're supposed to be there with your troops, cheering them on. You know what I'm saying? Giving them that energy from the bench, from the sideline, whatever. She not even traveling with the team, y'all.
The Sky's season will absolutely continue, with or without her. And honestly, they might actually be better off without this constant distraction. Because a team that's lacking a true leader can eventually find one. But a team built around someone who simply isn't invested is doomed to fail from the very beginning. So here we are, watching the exact same show with the exact same ending. Angel Reese has quit again. And the only people who are genuinely surprised are the ones who clearly weren't paying attention to her history. And the craziest thing is, there's still probably a team out there willing to roll the dice on her again. In professional sports, people often believe they can somehow fix players with flashy resumes and complicated reputations. But here's the unshakable truth. You can't teach hunger, you can't coach someone into wanting it. Either you're built for the grind, or you're just not. And Reese, she's just